It says we are live. I'm going to believe it. Brian Hammond, what's happening?
What's going on, Greg? I'm almost ready to start talking to you again.
You said it's going to be 3 weeks. 3 weeks? No, come on. I'm good. We're like have all this digital between us. There's nothing to be scared of.
That's true. I don't know. I'm not sure I can trust your guidance. So
Well,
you're going to trick me into something hard here. Is what I.
That is true. These are all hard. These are all very difficult. So, well, welcome. Thanks for joining me on this. And I know you've got some things to share. And man, I've been waiting to talk with you in this setting for a while. So this is awesome. Anything cool happening for you this like last couple days? This coming anything like personal you want to share with anybody?
Nothing crazy going on. I mean, we're going to get into it later on as, you and I went on a nice little get out and ride this past Saturday, which was fun, and I'm still feeling it. And then next week I leave to go do Unbound, which is the 200-mile gravel race in Kansas. So I'm sure we'll get into that at some point.
I've got a few questions about that. Yeah, mostly about your mental state. What is going on with that decision? But you're right. I'm going to get to that. So cool. Yeah, we did do our get out and ride day and we can go over that. But I had an awesome, man, this has been one of my favorite weeks. If you back up from our big ride that we did. And then Tuesday, I turned around and met up with Coach Jason Alosio about 45 minutes from here at Slate Valley. The trails, Brian, are amazing. Oh my gosh. I can't wait to get you down there. So you and I are both doing a race there, mountain bike race in July. So I tried to ride the course and we ducked out at 4.5 hours before it stormed. That's a big mountain bike race. It's a big course.
Yeah, I'm pretty psyched for it.
We were laughing the whole time just at the trails and the quality of the trails and just how fun it was. It's like it should be illegal, that much fun.
Thank God
and
not.
So
let's be grateful it's not illegal. So we're good.
Oh, totally. Well, so Lori graciously gave up a seat so that you and I could talk about stuff, but she reports that a lot of good stuff is going on, and she's feeling super positive about the hill climb day and the reports that she's getting back from that and the feedback. So that is awesome, and hope everybody enjoyed that and the classes that we led. Were you in on any of those conversations afterwards?
Just on Facebook, and we have obviously our weekly meeting where we discuss what's going on and the challenges and what we're doing and the challenges in the future and stuff like that. And then, to echo what you said, like everything's been going really positive. It looked like that climb challenge was a lot of fun. A lot of people got to the group rides and they had some, a couple of those chats, I guess, were going on fire during the group ride, which was great. The team of members out there riding is like a support system. And I think it helps people push and gets people on the bike. And, all this is supposed to be fun. And sounds like people are having fun.
That's exactly what it sounds like. And the whole point is to remember we're trying to get away from the FTP test as the only benchmark. And there are so many other things. And I mean, you could use volume, even just a long ride, or time to exhaustion is one. I don't even know if we've introduced that term yet, but time to exhaustion, or how long you can hold sweet spot, or how long you can ride if that's something, or how long your hardest 1 minute, or how long. We used to do it in Central Park. It was like, how long, go for 20 minutes, but I want landmarks. I don't care about power. I want landmarks.
Yeah. And, they think what a lot of coaches, especially with power, we look at, right, is that power profile. It's not just what your FTP is, but it's, what's your 30-second power, your 1 minute power, your 5 minute power, your 20-minute power, your 40-minute power, right? Like understanding where people are across the board. I've always used it as a good analogy is like, think of running, right? Like a 20-minute test is just basically, you're kind of measuring everybody as, what's your 10K time? And you're judging Usain Bolt as a great sprinter or Meb as a great marathoner based on their 10K time. That doesn't make sense. Like, some people are sprinters. Like, let's see what that power's like.
Differences,
as long distance runners are. right? So
Yes.
cycling has the same thing. We have to be able to perform at different intensities and durations. That just testing one of them, yes, it was a benchmark and it was a good way to put these zones in there, but it doesn't identify somebody as a rider. I used to say, like, some of the greatest sprinters in the world, they don't even know what their FTP is.
Right.
No clue. No
Right.
clue what their FTP
It
is.
it doesn't matter. That's why it
Doesn't
makes no
matter
difference. Yeah, your
to
race is
them.
9 seconds long. What do you care what you can do
So
20 minutes?
for an hour, right? Exactly right.
Exactly. All right. Well, that's cool. And so the point is then that we're looking for different benchmarks and want to share that with everybody to get away from it. And there's so much more into that. You can talk for hours about the differences of phenotypes. And you mentioned the sprinter and the marathoners, and cyclists do have the same things for sure. I mean, so anyway, well, this type of year is this time of year, and I say this time of year because really you can do this 2 or 3 times. I am attempting to bring people, if you've been following along, into a peak performance here in the next week or two. So June 1st, kind of getting down to the nitty gritty. Do you have any experience reaching a peak and competing and doing all that?
Yeah, I mean, ironically enough, my event is June 1st as well. So I'm running into
Oh,
that
good.
same boat, right? Unbound is the same day as the Hincapie. So
Well, wait, before you get too into that, I do have some specific questions on that, and to follow my outline here, do you care if we get through the classes, the actual workouts for next week,
yeah,
and then let's roll through the classes. If you're ready, can you do the Peloton classes? You've got that schedule there.
yeah. Lori sent it along, and I
Sweet.
obviously saw the schedule beforehand, and it's a lot of the same. From a concept perspective of what was happening this week, obviously Monday being that rest day. And I think a lot of people are noticing how important that rest day actually is. Like, it's tough to go hard all the time. Like taking a day to recover is not only beneficial for the work that you've done, but it's beneficial to set up the work you're about to do. More importantly, like Tuesday is a key ride. So let's show up ready to do it. Right. So that Monday rest day, Tuesday power zone, make sure you're taking those recoveries. Again, it's about the work intervals, not really the whole class itself. It's not about how much work you do, it's how much work you're doing during the work interval that's important. Wednesday, optional, obviously, for those people that are doing 3 rides a week. And then for the 5 rides, it's just a nice, easy zone 2 endurance ride. Thursday is the real bread and butter. That's what when I look at this week of really what's that number one key kind of effort is that the Tabatas that we're talking about, right? And we're talking about these short end intensities, kind of recalibrating what we think is hard, is how I always kind of looked at a Tabata, right? Let's get that VO2 max up there a little bit, help with those climbs. Friday, another rest day for everybody again. Recover from what you did the last 3 days, prepare for what you're going to do over the weekend is really what these rest days are about. Saturday, that 90-minute power zone endurance ride, and then the optional Sunday as well. So for the core rides, if you're doing 3 times a week, I think you're around 2 hours 45 minutes. Should be around 190 TSS, somewhere in that kind of ballpark. The 5 ride options getting up to 5 hours, and that's going to bring you up around that 319 TSS area. So good
Sweet.
tough week ahead of everybody, I think.
Yeah, right. And week 3 as it should be. So that sounds awesome. And then on my side of things, we're kind of getting down to the crunch here, and you as well, Brian. So this is an important week, obviously, with June 1st coming up, an event day at the end of the week. We've been training for this, and I've been talking about this for months, bringing us to a peak on June 1st. And we've been talking about the off the bike topics as well as the workouts. So it's not just about the workouts and the recovery and spacing them out, but also the off the bike topics. And that's what I was trying to get into with Lori last week. And I don't know if I made any sense, but for me, it's about organization. If my desk is clear, if my clothes are done, the laundry's done, the dishes are clean, I feel more organized. I feel like I can rest. It's just less stressful. And I do believe there is something to that the more stressed you are, the less you are able to perform. If you are at an optimal stress level, then that's what we're going for, and that takes years to perfect.
Yeah.
You can always work on that. So for me, it's about organization, sleep, quality meals, visualization, and then confidence building, and a number of things. So taking years to prep it. What I want to say is that everyone, if you are going for a peak this weekend, this coming weekend, now like 10 days from now, take some notes. What's working, what's slowing you down? Take some notes, and you can come back to that if you're going to try it again in October, and see what works and what doesn't. But let's get to the ride. So the rides, Tuesday, I have 3 8-minute tempo intervals, okay, 85%. And then Wednesday, I suggest a day off. I know if you're doing 5 rides a week and you're used to hitting an endurance ride, hey, take Wednesday off. That's an extra time for you to let all of the hard training, and I've thrown some hard workouts at you, let them sink in. You're not going to get any faster by overtraining it. In fact, you can really screw things up by overdoing it this week, or you can let everything sink in and just arrive to Saturday ready to go. So I suggest taking it, if you need to move, maybe do a warm up and then a cool down, and that's it. Get off the bike and get back to resting. If you're not doing an event, pick a strength class. Okay, do something different on that Wednesday. That's what I would like to see. Thursday, though, I do have an important workout. So my pre-race workout openers. Okay, I like, and this is, again, you got to take notes and see what works for you and what doesn't. But give this a try. 1 minute zone 4 intervals, 100% of FTP for 1 minute every 10 minutes. So you end up doing about 4 or 5 of them in a ride, and that's enough. Shut it down. You've revved the engine, put it away. It turns out for me, I like to do that the day before the ride. Following the schedule here, it's on Thursday, but you could really take your pick and do it on Thursday or Friday, but it's on the schedule for Thursday. So give that workout a try, and then event day is Saturday. A bunch of us are gonna be at Hincappy, so that's gonna be awesome to see everybody. And I'll be talking to some folks on Friday afternoon at the Shakeout Ride, and we've posted about that, and that's gonna be amazing. So I just can't wait for that. But if you're not doing an event, or either the Hincappy or something else, Unbound, and you're riding, I did give you a 90-minute ride, 45 minutes at 85% or tempo zone 3. And that's just longer sub-threshold intervals, trying to keep the progressive nature of the workouts. The longer, to keep getting better, we have to do progressively harder things. And so that's kind of tough given the amount of time we have. But so go for this 1.5-hour ride and take that long 45-minute interval. And then Sunday is just a recovery ride. If you've done your event and a recovery ride seems right, yeah, go for it. If chilling seems right, but don't sit still all day. I think do get up and move and do something, get the blood flowing a little bit. So a recovery ride probably makes sense for a lot of us doing an event. So TSS for the week, if you do the workouts as they're structured, it's 233 down from 259, so it is quite a bit lower, and all of that focus is on performance day on Saturday. So yeah, why don't you tell us? So I think we all know about Hincappy, and we're all doing it, and this is a big event, a big first-time event for a lot of folks. It's a big event for me. I think it's 80 miles. I forget what it is. That's a lot for me. You and I rode 90 some miles on our gravel bikes. That's a lot for me.
A lot for
but that's a training ride for you. That was a lead up ride for you for what you're doing June 1st. Why don't you tell us what's going on?
Yeah. So, Unbound, just to back it up a little bit, Unbound is a 200-mile. They have 100, a 200, and an XL, which is like 350 miles. So I signed up for the 200-mile ride. So I'm assuming that's going to take me somewhere between 12 and 15 hours of ride time.
Gravel bike, gravel off-road. Yes.
It's off-road, the whole thing.
In Kansas,
a lot of winds, a lot of heat, and a lot of chunky rock is what I hear. Um, so, I always break these kind of events down to how long am I going to be out there? That's really the thing, right? And it's, for me, it's a time-based thing, 12 hours to 15 hours. So when I look at my training rides, you had sent me a message saying, "Hey, I'm thinking about doing this long ride on the 18th, this 100-mile gravel bike ride. You interested?" I was like, "Yeah, perfect timing. Makes a great training day for me to test my equipment
I was really
prior."
upset that I hit send on. I was like, "What did I just do?" And you responded, "Yes, let's do it." Instead of, "Okay, Greg, that's funny. Now, what are we really going to do?" But no, you were down
Totally.
for it.
Yeah, and
Uh,
I had, for me, like talking about like kind of going into this is, 2 weeks prior to that ride that you and I did a 12-hour mountain bike race, which was my peak, right? That was when you think of like building up volume wise, 4 weeks before the event is when I kind of really hit my longest ride. And that was 11 hours on the mountain bike through the woods, about 80 miles or so. And I was beat up afterwards. So, I was kind of recovering for almost 2 weeks, just mixing in some rides there. And then that long ride with you was kind of my last big training ride. Like that was my, let's test the equipment, what's going to be happening. And then from that ride from this past Saturday on, this 14-day span is about recovery. It's about actually letting the body rest. Like I'm tired walking up and down stairs. I go get the laundry. I'm winded. I'm like, you start to worry and you stress about it. And then you're like, oh man, I should go for a ride. I must be losing fitness. And you know, even for us as coaches, we think that like we get in our own head. We're like, oh, I'm losing fitness, and it's not. It's your body's just
it's a
tired, man.
spiral. It's a
Yeah, you
terrible
gotta
spiral to
sit,
get into. I don't feel fit, so I better train harder or more and then get my fitness back. But you really just need to chill.
dig in a
My
hole, dig
judge,
in a hole.
my tell, I used to get off the subway at 53rd Street and climb up the stairs. And some days I could bound up the stairs like nothing, and some days it felt like pulling lead up the stairs.
Yeah,
And I knew, okay, it's time. I need to chill.
I always say it's like, especially when the Ironman days, like you do a couple a year, like you do a couple of these big events a year. At least I do, and I'm like, I only feel good 2 weeks a year. That's race week. That's
Yeah,
it. Like
yeah.
other than that, I feel like garbage. My legs are tired. I walk upstairs. I feel like I'm out of shape and all that
Yeah,
stuff. So, to your point of like you're saying to people, the next 10 days leading up to Hincapie, you can get in trouble by training too much, right? And I always kind of keep this mental idea of like it takes me 10 days to get fit. So whatever workout I do today, I don't actually realize that fitness for 10 days. So 10 days inside of
at
my
least,
event
right?
window, yeah, at least, right? Like, so 10 days inside my event window, it's nothing is about fitness. Everything is about recovery, right? So I can recover more than I can gain in fitness. So if I can recover more, I'm going to be better on race day. So for me, my mentality now is shifted to recover, recover, recover. Still work out, but nothing that's going to require me to really recover the next day. Like that 1 minute FTP with 10 minutes, like that's not an easy workout. Like it's going to feel tough, but it's not hard enough that it's going to require you to really recover for 48 hours or a day.
Right,
You're going to feel
right. And
fine the
that's the
next
point.
day.
That's the
Yeah,
point, is
that's
to
the
rev the
exact
engine and
point.
kind of get the juices flowing and get those energy systems working again, because you've been maybe feeling stale from recovering.
Totally right.
Yeah, cool. So, all right, well, back it up just a little bit. I mean, let's see. We got goal setting, we got motivation, we've got executing a training plan, and focusing on recovery, and the whole process has kind of come around, So from way back, I started talking about June 1st and Hincapie maybe in October, November, and you take the whole base period and build the foundation. And we did that with a few different challenges that were really not very many intervals, and focusing on the sub threshold. And then January came around and we started working the intervals, and it was all the training was pointed towards this date. And did you yourself go through a similar process? When did you put this on the calendar?
Yeah, pretty much the same process, right? I I usually do my calendar around the same time, around October or so for this upcoming year. What are my events that sometimes it's about finding if you get into it or not. And then I really start focusing in January. That's usually where like the real work starts. And it follows along exactly what you were doing, Greg. Like, that it's about not necessarily building base, but it's a lot of zone two. It's a lot of, when you think about our long ride on Saturday,
Yeah.
right? If we looked at our power file, what would we see? We'd see a whole bunch of time in zone one, zone two, and then we'd see these, spurts of energy up in zone five and zone four, high zone five, right? These hard efforts of like these 3, 4, 5 minute climbs, maybe longer sometimes on things, but you have to kind of build that long distance and get used to that zone two and then pepper in that kind of hard work there. Cause that's really what these things are. Hardly ever are you and I on that ride for, 7 hours. Are we actually at our FTP? Like we're not sustaining FTP for any period of time.
Can you see my screen?
I can. I'm getting fancy here. Oh,
yeah. So there's the ride. I always like to put the feet in just to the elevation, just so people understand. But my takeaways from this is exactly what you're saying. My normalized power is right there, and that's if you just smooth out the power line and kind of take away when we had to stop at the country stores for Coke and donuts and stuff. But what was telling to me was this intensity factor at 64. So it's as if I was at a zone, I guess that's zone 2, 64% of FTP. It was a pretty low ride for me, but not for that amount of time.
For that time, right?
Yeah, it absolutely.
You could never sustain zone 3 for that. For 7 hours.
Not me. No, some people maybe.
No, because then your zones would be completely off, right?
Like, exactly. But also the variability, the variability index of 1.18 is really not that dynamic of a ride. For contrast, my mountain bike ride was a 1.6.
Yes,
a couple days later, so a big difference.
For people to understand what the variability index is so the NP, what you were talking about a minute ago, is the physiological average. Like, what did your body think you averaged for that time frame? And your average power is typically below that number. Your variability index is the difference between those two. So it's about, for this ride, you said it was 1.18. Was that right?
1.18, yes.
So it's about a 10%, 18% difference between the two, which would be a pretty variable ride. A time trial, you're looking at 1.0.
Yes,
right. That would be even effort. So if we held 175 watts for the whole day, this would be 1.0, which would be time trialing. So a lot of times the variety of the roads impact that, but you should be able to see like your actual chart of like time spent in different zones on here somewhere. And you would see like majority of this would be zone 2 with then a whole bunch of kind of zone 4 and zone 3s and stuff like that is how you'd size. Like, do you see the
zone 1, zone 2, zone 3, zone 4, zone 5, and a tiny little sliver of zone 6.
Yeah, that's the peak of the mountains for the most part. Texas Hill.
We were getting chased by a cow.
Yeah. And that's the thing, right? So it's, the way that you had the program building up is basically how I follow it too. It's like you're just building that zone 2. You got to get really comfortable in that zone 2, zone 3, sustain that, but you can't ignore the hard efforts, right? Because they're going to come. And if you can't handle those hard efforts, then you can't recover afterwards, right? Like, how many of those matches can you actually burn on those things, right? And, maybe you feel good for the first 4 or 5, and then by the time you get to 7 and 8 towards the end of the ride, your zone 1 turns into zone 2 pretty quick.
I love it. So in prepping for a 200-mile race, you've really used the same framework as what
framework.
we've been doing, prepping for a 100-mile ride, an 80-mile ride, a 50-mile ride. If it's a bigger event for you, it's all relative, and you've really used the same framework. And that's what
Yeah,
I
the
kind of
difference
wanted
is
to
the
illustrate.
volume, right?
Yeah.
Like the difference really comes down to volume, and the volume difference isn't even the intensity work. The intensity work's probably about the same.
Yeah.
I'm not doing more than 2 days of intensity work at any point in time in the year.
No.
The difference is, if someone's getting ready for an 80-mile or 100-mile event, maybe they're going out for a 4 or 5 hour ride on the weekend. I might be going out for a 7, 8, or 9 hour ride on the weekend, or 2 back-to-back long rides. But they're all very zone 2, zone 1, zone 2. Like, they're not that taxing because I got to be able to wake up and go the next day.
Because otherwise you're stuck resting. Or if you've overdone it and you do try to have time to train the next day, you're really digging yourself into a hole. If you train harder than you can recover from, that's really kind of
And
the
that's the
definition of
key.
overdoing it. Yeah.
That term that you just said is like, you have to train for what you can recover from. That's really what endurance sports is about. If you can't recover from it, then don't do it. Because if you
Right.
can't recover from it, I'm going to lose 2 days of training that I could have done.
Yeah.
So cut that workout shorter. If you can't recover, don't do it.
So constantly finding the balance, playing the game and everything. And that's stuff that's on the bike and recovering and everything. And I mentioned stress being one of the things for me. And I talk about organization, but you know what it really is the family support, your immediate family. You're a dad, you're a husband, you've got a full-time job. Like you've got to have some pretty good support at home, I imagine, to still be doing this at the, at this stage in life. You got to have some good support. How's your family holding up?
Yeah, dude. Great. This is like normal for them nowadays. My wife, who I'm very lucky, is also an endurance athlete. She's done 4 Ironmans.
Oh, very
So
cool.
she's not foreign to the idea of some long days
Yeah.
out there. And my kids, who are 16 and 14 now, they've grown up with us doing this. Like since they were, I mean, literally 6 weeks old. Like they
Right.
were at a race with my wife or I racing. So for them, this is all normal. Like this is just what, their parents do. So I'm lucky in that fact that I do have an amazing support staff here. And, at these point in times of these races, I go out by myself. I'm not even traveling with anybody. Like I'll fly out solo. I hired a crew out there to be at the checkpoints for me to drop bags. And that's it. Like I'll, give them a call afterwards. They're like,
Yeah.
what's dad doing?
Yeah.
So,
another day at the office. Another day
at the office. So it is nice. Right. It is. And I think it's a great thing for our kids to see.
Oh yeah.
That we live this kind of lifestyle and that we support one another doing it, and that it's possible,
Sorry, it makes all the difference hearing, hey, how was your ride or how was your race, right? Instead of when are you getting home?
Yeah, totally.
Just two differences. Anyway, so what are you doing specifically these last few days? We have what, 7? No, we figured 10 days till event day. Is it Saturday? It's the same day, June 1st, right?
Same day. Yeah, same day. Saturday,
what in particular is going to get you over from here to here the last 10 days?
Trusting my training and trusting my feel of my body. I didn't ride today. Yesterday I planned on riding today. I figured I was going to ride Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. And then yesterday during my ride, I didn't feel great. So he was like, you know what? Legs are still not feeling recovered. Take the day. Friday will be a better day, and use this time to plan. Like you said, I'm the same as you. Like I try to get everything planned out. Last Saturday was my nutrition test. I had a hydration pack. I had 2 bottles. I took my, 12 gels or 10 gels. And then I basically revamped that, right? It didn't go as well as I planned. Like I was dying for some water, and I made some mistakes along that ride. And that's what that test ride's about, right?
Yeah.
Like, what do I need to change? So the last few days have really been just mapping that out, mixing my powders, ordering the gels or getting the gels that I need, mapping out my travel, making sure that that's all good, making sure my bike any repairs that need to be made, changing the tape, changing the tires, changing the tire sealant, stuff like that, just prep work now. So I don't have to do that prep work when the time comes. And then again, staying off the blogs, right? Like you start reading on the Facebook Unbound thing and people are like, oh, you have to have 50 centimeter or 50 millimeter tires. You can't. And I'm like, no. No.
No,
Don't
you
listen
got
to
it.
anybody. Like
You got it.
you've made your choices, live with them, ride them. Like that's it. So, cutting out the noise is part of it. And then just making sure I walk in with a plan that I'm comfortable with and that I think I can execute. So I don't have to make decisions on race day, because
I
that's
like
not the
it.
time you want to make a decision is on race day.
Well, believe it or not, I did know that you were coming up on Unbound when I made that course that we did, and so I'm curious to learn how it compares. I think what we did is a
This was
little
hard.
bit more extreme than what Unbound is. But you have 200 miles, and we did close to 100. But
Certainly for the volume, the climbing, the climbing's not even comparable. I think we did more climbing in that 95 miles than I'll do in the 200.
Nice, yeah. Vermont,
Not nice.
Kansas got
Not
nothing
nice at
for
all.
Vermont. Come on, we're
Like,
good. No, I know. I was mean.
and Greg, so everybody knows, Greg did map out this course, and I made small changes to it, very small in my neighborhood. But he left all the climbing for like the last 20 or 30 miles. And I'm like, halfway through the ride, I'm like, Greg, why didn't we do this the reverse way? We could have started with all this climbing and then finished on a nice flat ride. He's like, yeah, I thought about that, but I think he just wanted to stick it to me.
What it was is I was maybe thinking I was going to get up early and ride to your house and pick you up, and then we would do all the climbing. And if that happened, I didn't want to do all the climbing on my own and then get to your house and be like, done. All right, let's go through the dairy fields and stuff, and then you could drop me off. Then you'd be even more mad at me.
Yeah,
Trust me.
And I don't. Yeah, I think it was the proper way to go. I think we should just circumvented it and got it out earlier, because I think climbing the opposite direction would have been worse.
Yeah. Anyway, it's a grueling route. If anybody wants to come up to Vermont and make a plan, come on, hit me or Brian up, and we'll take
bring
you
your
on.
mountain bike, not your gravel bike.
We'll point you in the right direction. Any other words for advice for first-time event goers? We've got a bunch of people maybe nervous, not sure what to expect. Anything else? Like, I've talked to Linda Marie, our beloved member of the team here. We're on the phone. We're talking about registration, number pickup. Does she check a bag? I mean, this is all new stuff and foreign. So it's a whole new experience for a lot of folks here.
Yeah, what I always say is, imagine if you're just going out for a ride from your house. What would you take? Right? Like if it's just a normal weekend and you're going to go out for a 70-mile ride, what would you wear? What would you pack? What would you want to eat? I think of races and events like this as like it's just an easier weekend ride. There's aid stations. There's other people on the course, motivating you and keeping you pushing and stuff like that.
Pointing directions.
Yeah. So it's like, it should simplify your day, if anything, and I think the worst thing to do is sometimes sit in the chat rooms and you get way too much advice, and contradictory advice. So when there is a question and you're not sure what to do, you just got to seek one person. Who do you trust? Have they done this before? And have a conversation with them. And it shouldn't really be them telling you what to do. It should be them listening to what your plan is.
Yes.
What's your plan?
Yes.
And all right, well, how do we make this easier? And, the other key I would say is at these events, they're big and there's a lot of expo and there's a lot of walking around, and enjoy that stuff after the race, not before the race. It can be very exhausting, packet pickup and walking around, and it's hot and you're on your feet and you're not drinking. It's like, go in, pick up your number, go back. You can do all the shopping and all that stuff after the event. That expo doesn't go anywhere. So find a trusted person to listen to and talk to, and then hide. Hide
I
in your
love it.
hotel
That's
room.
exactly, that's it. That's where I'll be hiding on
That's why
Friday
my family
evening.
doesn't go. I'm like, I don't want my family there. It's too stressful.
Oh,
I'm
that
worried
is
about
true.
them. I'm like,
That is true. Yeah.
I just want to go back in my room and watch the Giro or something and eat
Yep.
Chipotle and put my feet up.
That sounds awesome. Well, man, we've got a ton of people all out going to do a similar thing. So I think there's strength in numbers, and man, this whole team is behind you. That is a cool thing. I've coached people through Unbound, and I've not had the desire to go and do it. So I envy you going out there solo and competing in this huge event, and it's kind of one of those bucket list things. So that'll be cool. Go and enjoy, have fun. That's going to be a blast, and we're going to do the same down at Hincappy, or if other folks are doing something somewhere else. And yeah, I can't wait to hear the recap.
Yeah, well, I'll post along while I'm out there. I'm sure I'll make a couple posts up and stuff like that. But yeah, I'm looking to hear how everybody does, Hincappy and all.
Yeah, nice, cool. Well, anything else about this week and that you want to share, or did we cover it all?
No, I think the number one thing, and most people on this call probably don't need the reminder, but the most important part about finishing week 2 is starting week 3. That's the
Right.
most important part, right? If you had a bad week this week, you missed workouts this week, you missed every workout this week. Who cares, right? You can only do what we can do, but Monday is a rest day. That's your first day. You don't even have to do anything. Check the box. You got Monday. You got the week started. I rested. Then Tuesday, get on that bike and let's get it done.
I love it, Brian. Thank you. You always bring such a calming way of thinking about things. I was stressing about getting to the briefing on time. I had to drop my daughter off, and I was thinking of your voice. And you're like, who cares? It's all good. It all works out, and that's a good reminder to keep the stress level right where it needs to be, and that's going to bring us all to event day ready to go. So.
Totally
Cool,
right.
my friend. Thank you so much for joining us, and everybody, thank you for riding and training. We'll see you all soon.
All right, bye guys.